What's up, everybody? Let's talk Jets radio. Hope you guys are all doing well. Definitely saw the buzz last night, about Deshaun Watson potentially having played his last game with the Texans, and then Schefter tweets out that the Jets, of course, can offer as much compensation as anybody out there, something that we've mentioned on the show the last couple weeks. But unfortunately, I didn't want to do a video last night. I kind of thought about Willy Wonka when the fake fifth golden ticket was found. Grandpa Joe let Charlie kind of sleep through the night, have one last dream of entering the chocolate factory. Well, I'm waking up this morning to be the Arthur Slugworth. I'm going to be the asshole with the everlasting gobstopper, and just flat out tell you guys I don't think Deshaun Watson's coming to the Jets. There's numerous reasons why. I'll start with the fact that you have to convince him to want to become a New York Jet first. He's trying to get out of one bad ownership situation, so the idea that he'd want to come and play for Chris Johnson and Woody Johnson, I think is pretty far-fetched. You look at some of the other teams that are rumored to be interested, the Niners, the Dolphins especially, which are apparently his preferred destination. The idea that he needs New York City to become a rock star, I think, is crazy. He's already a star in Houston. He'd be a star with the Niners. He'd be a star with the Dolphins on South Beach and pay no income tax. So I think, trying to convince him to become a Jet is, the reason number one why this is not going to happen. Then you start looking at the compensation, and I think it's much different for the Jets than it is for those other teams. Niners get him, instant Super Bowl contender. They were just there 2 years ago. Clearly an upgrade over Jimmy G. You look at the Dolphins, already have their culture set, playmakers on both sides of the ball, instant contender if they get him. The New York Jets still have so much work to do if they acquire Deshaun Watson. I still don't think they're a top 5 team. Watson led the league in passing last year. Team was still 4-12. So do the Jets have the J.J. Watt? Do they have the Will Fuller? Even years prior, do they have the DeAndre Hopkins? I think this Jets roster is still so far away. You look at the cap space as well. Right now, $72 million in space, probably upwards of $90 million by the time the season starts. Watson immediately takes away half of that. So then, you figure you allocate about $10 million for the draft, $10 million, for injury protection going into the season. So you're probably talking about, $25 million to spend in free agency? So that's Allen Robinson, maybe an interior guard, and then what else? You want to talk about the draft compensation as well. Some people want to look at it like, oh, you're basically trading Jamal Adams and your number 2 pick, and you're upgrading with a sure thing at quarterback. What's there to complain about? I'm looking at it a little bit differently because of all the holes on the roster. I'm saying that number 2 pick, in theory, if you're building around Sam Darnold or even another quarterback down the line, if you trade down with that pick, it's at least 3, maybe even 4 or 5 premium picks, depending on how far you move down. So in theory, if you're trading 3 first-round picks, including that number 2 overall, that's essentially 6 or 7 premium picks. And then, you factor in the cap space, $40 million. That's, 3 premium free agents. So you're talking about 8 to 10, not saying every draft pick is going to hit, but you're talking about, 8 to 10 potential premium players that you'd be giving up for Deshaun Watson. Is that worth it for the New York Jets? Does that make the New York Jets acquiring Deshaun Watson, who I agree is a top 5 quarterback, and I agree that Joe Douglas should pursue this and at least, try to find out what it would take to get Watson here? Are the New York Jets, after they get Watson and give up all those assets, are they a better team than what he's had to work with in Houston? Are they even a top 5 AFC team? Are we better than the Bills, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Steelers, what the Browns are building, what the Colts are building? I still think the Jets are very far away from competing with those teams. I don't think Watson answers all those problems. He can't do it on his own, something like I said that we saw last year. So again, all the assets that you're giving up, along with trying to convince him to become a New York Jet, I think this is just a dream that, fans, again, we're all in on the quarterback right now. That's what fans are, just all infatuated about. We're tired of, dreaming of Sam Darnold as a reclamation project, maybe getting it together. We don't want to start another, rebuild with another young quarterback, hoping we can build him the right way. We want the sure thing. We want the top 5 guy. We want to build around him. But do we have faith in Joe Douglas, especially in the mid to late rounds, or even with, low risk, high reward free agents, both of which in his first year, he didn't prove he could do, if we're being honest. I have a lot of faith in Joe Douglas going forward. The coaching hire especially gave me a lot of faith in him. But if we're judging him off his first offseason, P. Ryan, Zuniga, Cameron Clark, James Morgan, doesn't really give you a lot of hope there in the mid to late rounds. And then you look at free agency as well. A lot of the low-risk, high-reward guys that we signed, Perriman, Desir, a few others, Van Roten, Lewis, probably not going to be here next year. So, we're putting a lot of faith in Joe Douglas with a lot less resources. And yes, you'd have the quarterback, but what else do you have? So I think this is just a dream that Jet fans are hoping for, but it's not realistic. So apologies. Again, I know this video is probably going to set all sorts of records for thumbs down, but that's my take, and I don't think Watson's going to be a Jet. So talk to you guys later.